how does he actually become president? Because it's a pretty incredible story.
So we're now focusing on after the trial, right?
I'm focusing catapulting. I mean, this is pushing him. This helps push him forward, and now taking the next step. How does he become president?
So this becomes again a question of what kind of support first you can get within the party, and I think that it became a sort of a game to some degree of being the compromise candidate at the time, and I think that in the end it was about, and by the way, one of the prosecutors in the case, Norman Broadwell, actually claims credit for the way that the delegates were seated at the Republican convention, so that the undecideds were seated closer to Lincoln and his team, so they had more access to them to try to convince them to go Lincoln's way. He told his son that story and sort of claimed credit for helping Lincoln win the election.
It's wild. But they had, it's pretty incredible, David. They had, how many votes? They had party votes until they chose Lincoln. What was it, 7, 8 rounds of voting?
Well, the key, part of the key is that of the 3 major candidates, William Seward, Salmon Chase, and Lincoln, the other 2 were very well known. And their positions on slavery, on banking, were known. So Lincoln was the wild card. And things like this trial allowed his personality to overwhelm the whatever negatives he had. I mean, Lincoln, if you look at Lincoln's policies on slavery, he was all over the place. He advocated allowing black slaves to go back to Africa and give them their own country. That was one way of solving the problem. He did not want to sign the Emancipation Proclamation. Before the Emancipation Proclamation was issued, there was a pre-Emancipation Proclamation that was issued, and it was a threat to the Confederacy. And he gave them 2 months in which he said, if you do not agree to a peace deal, I'm going to issue this. And that's what he did, because they didn't. I mean, he tried everything, but his advantage was of the major candidates, he was the least known. And as one of the founders of the Republican Party, he was politically very well in tune with the decision makers.
It's such an incredible story.